This is Josh with Budget Mechanic. This is our first ever live, so it's going to be awesome. Got my producer Andrew sitting next to me who has allergies, and so all of the sniffling that you hear is him. But
hello.
There he is. Today, my plan is to go over some comments that we've been getting on some of our popular videos that I think would be helpful to a lot of other people. So I wanted to share some of those answers in a live fashion. So let's jump right into it. And if any of you guys out there watching have other questions that could be useful to other viewers, throw them into the chat.
What's the first one, Josh?
First one is a comment on a video that we did quite a while ago, but continues to stir people up. Was a video on how to refill your radiator and how on some cars you can't just put the.
Just read the comment and then go from there. That's what I'm thinking.
Okay. Comment is, I don't have a radiator cap. I only have a reservoir tank. So your video makes no sense.
And this is Danielle Z Route 4978.
Danielle. A lot of people said the same thing, that this doesn't make sense to them because their cars don't have radiator caps. And apparently I wasn't clear in the video that the system that I was talking about was if your car has a radiator cap, it means it has a reservoir tank that a lot of people mistakenly fill, thinking that their radiator is low. They fill that, and then the car can still have overheating problems. And then this doesn't make sense to those of you that have GMs or whatever, where you have one bottle, usually high up in your engine compartment, that has a pressurized cap on the plastic bottle and no radiator cap. That's a totally different system than that video was talking about. And the same rules do apply, however. So you don't want to take that cap off when the engine is hot. And if you see a low coolant level in that bottle, that is where you're going to put your coolant to top it off. Hopefully that clarification makes sense. And we've been meaning to make a video on the pressurized reservoir system, and we will do that in the future.
Yes, we get a lot of flack for that one.
Yep, definitely stirred the pot. Okay, next question by the Prairie Chronicles was about our TPMS video, and he said, my long-term auto mechanic, who I thought was trustworthy, told me over the past 3 years that there's no way to tell which of the 5 tire sensors on my 2008 FJ Cruiser needs to be replaced. So I will have to replace all 5. The cost estimate over the years has gone from $250 a tire to now $500 per tire. I absolutely can't afford even $250 per tire. So I'm going to watch the rest of the video. That is a great idea. Watch the rest of the video. $250 per tire to change the TPMS sensor is pretty crazy. I don't know if that's just the region that he's in or because it's an FJ Cruiser. But in my town here in Hawaii, local tire shops wanted to charge $100 to replace that TPMS sensor in the tire, which is still pretty steep for a sensor that really just tells you what your tire pressure is. And then when it goes bad, puts that annoying tire light on your dash. But $250 to $500 per tire replacement cost is crazy. So definitely don't pay that. Usually those sensors get replaced when you get new tires. So worst case scenario, just wait until you get new tires and have the tire shop put new sensors in. Wouldn't cost you that much more. And then if you're really into it, you can watch our video on how to replace those sensors yourself using some trickery and jacks and whatnot. And you can buy them online. You can get fairly cheap scanners or get a used one, and you can do this job yourself. And in his case, save thousands of dollars.
Actually, I'm learning I can only pin one comment at a time.
Okay.
Do you want to, in between, do you want to answer some things real quick?
Sure.
I'm going to pin something.
Pinned comments.
Should be at the top there.
Kirkland Oil is bueno.
So, yeah, say who
So,
sent it. And then lots of questions.
Stilger J. Kirkland Oil is bueno.
Question mark.
Question mark. You've been watching our oil video, seems like, where we go over how to choose the best oil for your car. And one of the top competitors in my book is Kirkland Oil, which is the cheapest per quart, at least where I am. And it has all of the ratings and meets all the requirements to make it a good oil for your car. And it doesn't have all the crazy additives. It doesn't have all the crazy 10, 15,000 mile claims. But if you're doing like you should be and changing your oil every 5,000 to 7,000 miles, cheap Kirkland oil is bueno. Hopefully that answers your question.
And Tammy has a question about her Corolla.
Tammy.
You have to click on it to get the
What's up, Tammy M? Different people give me different diagnoses. How should I go about finding what causes the oil found all over my engine?
2000 Toyota Corolla.
Yes, especially on older cars like a 2000 Corolla, which is a great car, though. You want to keep around if it's got lowish miles and you're taking good care of it. Oil leaks are pretty tough to diagnose. And often what happens is you take it to a mechanic and they don't want to deal with it. They don't want to take the time to do the leak detectors and clean the engine and find the leaks. So they will often just give you a random quote for what it could be. Often something that's could be pretty expensive, like, I don't know, rear main seal or, a crankshaft seal. They may not have any idea where the oil is coming from, but they really don't want to get into it. And if they do get into it, they want to be paid for it. So it can be tough. And the best thing to do in that case is to get a few different opinions. So it sounds like maybe you have taken your car to a couple different people to look at, and hopefully a couple of them came to a similar consensus. If not, you can roll the dice with someone you trust, and hopefully they nail what it is. Or you're just going to have to keep slowly fixing things. Go with the cheap things first, get those fixed. And if it doesn't fix it, you move on to the more expensive fixes. So you just kind of got to decide what's going to be worth it for you. How much do you love your 2000 Toyota Corolla?
Okay, back to your scheduled.
All right. Scheduled comments.
Number 3, I think we're on 3.
Number 3 comment we got from Miguel Santos on our headlight restoration video, where we compare different methods of restoring foggy headlights. And he said, I've seen bug spray as a solution. I believe, didn't we mention that as one of the solutions that people have claimed?
There's so many crazy ones out there.
We scoured the internet and found so many juicy DIY remedies.
Anything that's oil or makes it look wet.
Yeah, pretty much anything wet, people have put it on their headlights and claim that it fixes the fogginess. And we pretty much debunked most of the ones that literally just temporarily oil your headlight and make them look clearer or shinier. But as soon as you go out and get dust on them or go through a car wash or wait a couple days, it all fades out again. So as we show in the video, the most important thing is clearing the rough oxidized material off of your headlights. And then secondly, you have to seal it with some sort of a sealant, clear paint coating, so that oxidization doesn't happen again. So I'm sure that bug spray looks great initially, but there is no way that it's a lasting solution. I would say it probably lasts days, if anything. I think in the video we suggested it has the same effectiveness as rubbing a stick of butter on it.
Yes.
So if you guys could get on that, try that solution out and let me know.
It's a waste of butter.
I don't know. The headlights would taste better. Yeah. All right. Moving on. Someone asked, as a result of our oxygen sensor replacement video, who is this? Mario Guzman, 142. He says, does the O2 sensor have to be relearned I've called different shops and half say yes and the others say no. So once you put a new oxygen sensor in, do you have to use the OBD2 scanner to relearn that sensor? I'm not totally sure why a shop would say that it has to be relearned. Potentially they're saying you would have to clear the check engine light that you probably have as a result of the bad oxygen sensor. Because in my experience, once you put that new oxygen sensor in, immediately it will start functioning properly. The computer will see it. The air fuel mixture of your engine will be correct. And you don't have to relearn like you do with maybe like a throttle position process or something like that. So maybe the shop is talking about you would have to clear that engine light that doesn't go away on its own. That would be my only thought. But there's no reason that you should have to relearn an oxygen sensor.
Do you know Subtegral? Is that somebody you know?
Subtegral?
I don't know. Anyways, they asked how long is the live stream been going? About 10 minutes.
11 minutes, 25 seconds is how much you've missed out on. But don't worry, this live stream will be on our channel.
That's right. Forever.
You can forever go back and check out the calendar
this
behind
invaluable information and advice.
Absolutely. All right. Next question came as a result of our rough idle video. And Stephen asked, would faulty engine mounts cause a check engine light to come on? Someone's watched our video through till the end. So check engine light being caused by engine mounts is pretty unlikely. There is no electronic sensors, at least on most cars up to 2025. There's no electronic sensors on the engine mounts that would somehow know that they're vibrating too much. So in crazy extreme cases, and the engine mount completely disintegrates and the engine is flopping around, I guess you could get some knock sensor codes. Maybe you could get like hoses or wiring actually starting to come loose or break, but that would be pretty extreme.
So that's all secondary. It's not directly related to it's only
right. So it wouldn't be
something else to trip a sensor. It's not itself.
Yeah. A sensor is not going to give you a code that says your engine mounts are bad, which is why, as you saw in the video, it can be tough to diagnose bad engine mounts without really getting in there, taking some stuff out and giving them a good inspection.
Okay, we got a pin message.
All right.
Still Gurge.
Is 56,000 miles too late for the first transmission fluid change? If you're asking me, it's never too late to change also, your transmission fluid.
It matters if this is a new car or not, right? Or no? Tell us more.
Yes, I guess Stoker, we would want to know, is this the first transmission fluid change it's ever had? Because 56,000 is not that far for a new car. Like if it's a brand new car with only 56K on it. But if you're asking me, I would say do that transmission fluid change, just dropping the fluid in the pan every 4 or 5 oil changes that you do. I'm not a huge believer in waiting until 100,000, 150,000 or whatever your manufacturer may recommend. I think it's way better to do it more often. And so it's never too late. And just do it again.
We have a video on this, right?
Oh, yeah. We got a video. If you really want to get into the nitty gritty,
I'll pin it for him.
Andrew will pin the video on why I think doing them more often yourself is better.
The best strategy for changing your transmission fluid.
Especially versus flushes at the dealer. Avoid those. All right. We got another comment that I wanted to go over from our no crank, no start video. Elise Nicole. She said, having issues on my 2017 Accord, new alternator, new battery, but intermittently no crank, no start. Then after a while, it starts. I've taken it to Honda twice, and they tell me that they can't find anything wrong with it. Classic. After a thorough check, they also told me it's hard to know unless it's acting up when they bring it in. Yes, which makes sense, which it doesn't do until I leave Honda. Yes, that is due to the magic of mechanics. There's an aura around all repair shops that when you bring your car in, it stops making the problem temporarily, so that they have no idea what's going on until you leave again. But in reality, from this comment, you've got new alternator and new battery, but occasionally no crank and no start. To me, that sounds like a classic bad starter. When a starter starts going bad, it will work one day, and then you come out of the store and it won't work at all. No cranking. And the battery and the alternator only takes care of the power to the starter. It doesn't have anything to do with the starter itself and the brushes in the starter going bad. From that description, I would have thought that a Honda dealer would immediately check the starter, either inspect it or tap on it when you try to start it. So not sure why they didn't get into that. But an intermittent starter problem like that really, to me, feels like it's going to be a bad starter.
Okay, we got a pinned comment from Don Sternberg.
What up, Don Sternberg? Is it recommended to replace the thermostat every 50,000 with every 50,000 5-year coolant drain and fill? Yes, I would say it definitely doesn't hurt. On most cars, it's really easy to do. It's a very cheap part. So your manufacturer might have an actual recommended mileage, and I would certainly stick to that. But if you have a Saturday afternoon and you are flushing your coolant system, it's not going to take that much extra time to pop that housing off and throw in another $8, $10 thermostat. And it could really save you headaches along the way, because if an old thermostat sticks, now your car's overheating and you've got much bigger problems. Just keep in mind, when you do your thermostat, a lot of them have a rubber O-ring seal, or they'll have, in the old ones, they had different kinds of gaskets. You want to make sure you replace any seals, or make sure that your new thermostat comes with seals, so that you don't cause leaks at that thermostat housing.
Yeah, quick one. I just pinned another one.
Nash, any apps, books, or materials you recommend for learning the anatomy of different systems on a vehicle? There's probably so much out there now.
The interwebs?
The internet. Yeah, I mean, when I started, and I'm not even that old, I hope, we had repair manuals that would give you diagrams and pictures, and that's how I learned how systems worked. But not a lot of books out there these days. I find the internet with
YouTube.
YouTube. But then I also, because I'm a diagram guy, like I'm visual, I will often Google a certain car model and its diagram for its belts or its wiring or its cooling. And there's usually a lot of good information out there.
Don Sternberg just suggested Mech AI as a good source. Have you ever seen that?
I have never used Mech AI. It sounds like it's using some kind of AI-based mechanic search, which would be cool. Honestly, I have when I'm lazy, I've gotten some really good ideas from AI for car fixes. Usually it doesn't think of anything too unique, but it'll often remind me of something that like I wouldn't have thought of until I sat there and thought about it for quite a while. So yeah, I think AI tools are going to get really good. I've even seen videos out there where people challenge AI to diagnose their car based simply on symptoms. So it's going to be easier and easier for all of us DIYers to fix our own cars, as long as they stop putting turbos and what are they called? The new Toyota thing where they're putting putting electric motors in the transmissions,
like some sort of
hybrids. Yeah. Then we're going to be.
It's a different ballgame.
Yeah. All right. Moving right along. We've got Rose Kindhope. She said, I've just made the mistake. Instead of filling the radiator, I filled the bottle beside my car, the bottle aside beside the radiator, and now my car is overheating. Yeah, again, this is going back to that first comment where looks like they filled the bottle that was attached to the back of the radiator, the overflow bottle, filled it up thinking they were filling up the radiator, which just isn't the case. That bottle only gets drawn from after the engine has cooled down, and the cooling radiator only sips in a little bit. So if you have a radiator that's really low on coolant, filling that bottle isn't really going to help. Again, that's for your systems that you have a radiator cap.
Oh, you got a pinned one there if you want to answer that one.
Ooh. Boanger de Via Cruz. Love that. New here and watching all the videos. I learned a lot. Thanks for sharing. I have a question about VSA light on a Honda Accord. Comes on even when I erase the codes. Yeah, VSA on Hondas was pretty common thing. I'm surprised you don't have also like the is it the ABS that comes on at the same time usually. Remind me what VSA, what the VSA light is. But again, you need a scanner to decode why that would be. And so if you're erasing the code, I'm assuming that means you can read the code with whatever scanner you have.
Vehicle stability assist.
So I would definitely dig into the causes for the code itself, because otherwise erasing the code is just going to temporarily make the light go away. It's probably not going to make your problem go away. So yeah, vehicle stability, it's usually all tied in with ABS, and depending on what kind of, how new your car is, they've got all kinds of systems for traction control. And what are you laughing at?
I'm going to pin this one.
Okay. Make me nervous. Sarah Harmsworth. Any advice on how to stop hitting curbs while driving? No advice there, Sarah.
That's the wifey.
My wife has entered the chat, and I just want everyone to know that my wife is the most beautiful and the best driver that there is, and doesn't make any noticeable mistakes by me. So
as long as she's watching,
I have no advice. I have no advice for you.
All right, you can go back to your list.
All right, just keep hitting those curbs, babe. All right, Heart to Heart Books says I have a 2004 Volvo that needed brakes, so I called Volvo, and they gave me the price of $2,400 to replace all 4 rotors and ceramic brakes all the way around. Well, that is a new high for me. I was thinking $1,800 locally was outrageous, but 4 rotors and pads all around, $2,400 is crazy. But the story continues. I went to Rock Auto and got 4 OEM rotors and ceramic pads all the way around, delivered to my house for $97. That's very cheap. Good job on that deal. Hopefully you didn't get the cheapest parts. My neighbor.
Why is that, Josh?
Well,
what happens when you get the cheapest parts?
Sometimes when you get the cheapest parts on the internet, you end up with the cheapest parts from the internet. And
that's what you say. Brake pads.
These are brake pads and rotors. He said OEM.
So according to one video we made, a lot of times if they're really cheap, you can end up getting things like squeaking and.
Yeah. So oftentimes, especially with brakes, people love to get super cheap brake parts. In my experience, they will still stop your car. But you'll often get things like dirty, dusty brakes on your rims. You'll get squeaking, a lot of noise, and they can wear out a lot faster. They can start cracking, overheating usually a little sooner. So you do get what you pay for. However, getting parts online can save you a ton of money. Brake parts especially are one of the most overpriced parts at the local auto parts stores. So he got a neighbor to put on the parts that he got online and charged him $100. So he went from $2,400 in quote to $197 brake job, which is pretty good savings. Well done, sir. Yes, you will hear me if you watch my videos. My soapbox is definitely on doing your own brakes. It's one of the ways you can save the most money, because mechanics charge so much for brake jobs when it's a very easy job to do yourself and the parts can be purchased very cheap.
All right, you got a pin comment there. A little specific. Scion.
I've got a Scion TC, Scion 2012, 135,000 miles. Time to sell it.
Tifa cheeks.
No check engine light. I've changed the spark plugs, oil, and starter. Every time I turn the car on, cold start, it makes a rattle sound that lasts 1 second. Oof. Well, it's such a bummer trying to describe sounds on the internet via text. A rattle at cold start. It's so hard to say. Does it sound like it's a rattle from another part of the car, or is it a rattle like straight from the engine?
And also asked, is it something serious? Car runs great. Kind of a follow-up question.
Yeah, if the rattle is not lasting while the car is running, it doesn't sound like it would be serious. It sounds like it's more a process of the startup. So when your car is starting, it's shaking a whole lot because it's not up to speed where it's balanced. So you can get all kinds of stuff. You can get metal shields on your exhaust will rattle loudly during startup. If your starter bearings are bad or weird, or your flywheel teeth are messed up, you can get all kinds of crazy sounds during startup. So it feels to me like you have something going on in the starting process. But again, it's really hard to say by just rattle sounds, unless someone else out there has a Scion around 2012 that has the same thing and has figured it out. Feel free to chime in, but I can't say that I know for sure. Give us some more details. All right, we got another one from Linda Richardson. Says, I have a 2015 Honda Civic EX. Air conditioner blows warm and hot, then the car runs hot, and it happens when I run the air conditioner. Car also runs hot after driving 40 miles or so when the air conditioner is not on. All right, a whole lot going on there, but it's a pretty clear to me that the car wants to overheat. And when running the air conditioner, that overheating happens sooner, and then the air conditioning stops blowing cold. It's a really common telltale sign that your car is overheating, because the condenser, which is basically a smaller version of your radiator, sits out in the front and it's right against the radiator. So your air conditioning system can't function when the radiator right next to it is super hot. And so often, telltale sign that your car is about to overheat or is overheating is your air conditioning starts blowing warm. And then again, she's saying it happens after driving for a while, and it's even overheating when the air conditioning is off. So it's really not an air conditioning issue at all. It's just a symptom of the car overheating. Sounds to me like either your radiator fan is not functioning properly, or you're low on coolant. Because when you're low on coolant, your car can kind of keep itself cool when it's moving and when the AC is not running. But then once you slow down, or once the AC starts putting load on the system, then your car overheats. So you definitely want to wait till your car cools down and then check your coolant. I bet it's low.
All right, we got a pinned comment.
Nash. Websites you recommend for buying vehicle parts? AutoZone's too expensive. I've actually got some good deals at AutoZone, believe it or not. Yeah, I mean, I end up using a lot of different sites. Obviously, I love Amazon for the return policy, especially if you know what you're looking for. Amazon can be a little dangerous because you can find the dirt cheapest Chinese parts on there that will bolt up to your car, but be pretty low quality. So Amazon, you can drown in options. So what I'll often do is I will use an AutoZone or like a Rock Auto, and I will find kind of the brands or the parts that I know are better quality. Because Rock Auto usually, if you get to their mid-tier part prices, they're usually pretty good quality parts. And I'll go and I'll search those exact part numbers on Amazon, see if I can get them there. What's great about Amazon, Walmart.com, stuff like that is they have good return policies. If you find that you ordered the wrong part or it doesn't fit or whatever, you can return them pretty easily and you get some free shipping. So then if you get into like more specialty parts, stuff like that you can only get at the dealer. So maybe some airbag parts or some really model specific trim stuff that you can't usually find on Amazon. You can find dealer type websites that will have those specialty parts, maybe Parts Geek or something like that. Or a lot of dealers now will have, they'll sell parts online and you'll pay a bit more. But sometimes that's the only way to get your parts. Also, I use eBay quite a bit because I find some parts that are super expensive, but they're maybe on the external part of the engine, easy to replace. I don't mind getting a secondhand part. I'll roll the dice and get a secondhand part if I can save a bunch of money. And often it works just fine. And that's a good way too to get OEM parts. A car that's been in an accident, maybe had low miles, so the whole front end is destroyed, but you just need a rear door handle. Boom, you get an OEM, door handle or a door motor with low miles, and that can be a cheap way to go. So I use them as well.
I've got one more pinned comment.
I'm here. Is it better to replace a CVT transmission on a 14 QX60 Infinity or junk the vehicle?
Do you know anything about Infinities?
I do not, but I know CVT transmissions they're not our favorite.
Yeah. Well, why?
Hopefully it's CVT or CVVT, but
I know Scotty Kilmer's pretty anti-CVT.
Yeah, the variable timing transmissions, they're not all created equal, but they don't have the greatest reputation, especially some of the early ones. They would blow up pretty prematurely.
It's a 14. It's 11 years old.
Yeah, it's a 14. How many miles are on that thing? But I would imagine that the replacement of a transmission on an Infinity is not going to be cheap. So you just need to weigh the numbers for how much are they charging you to replace that transmission, which is not the greatest transmission ever made, or sell the car for parts. You kind of got to do the math.
If you do get a new transmission, make sure to watch our transmission replace.
Yeah, if you do end up getting that CVT put in, make sure you take good notes on how to take care of that transmission because they are so sensitive to proper maintenance.
We posted the video farther up the chat, so check it out.
Yeah.
You have any more?
Sure, I can go all day.
Oh, I thought you only had 10.
Yeah, I got one from James.
All right.
James Zamora, totally random question, but my truck makes a squealing noise, but it's only after I've been driving on the freeway and I hear it when I get off and I'm stopped or slowing down. Again, the squealing noise is pretty hard to help you diagnose from here. But I can give you guys a tip when it comes to diagnosing stuff like that. So if you're hearing a noise, it happens at 60 miles an hour on the freeway and then I get off and it stops. There's a couple of things you can do to help pinpoint why and when that noise happens. So in a situation like this, I would drive on the freeway and then shift into neutral. Obviously, don't do this around other cars, but shift into neutral. So your wheels are still going 60 miles an hour on the highway, but your engine is now idling. And if the noise goes away, you might know, oh, that's something to do with the engine because the brakes and the drive line is all spinning at 60 miles an hour, but the noise goes away when I shift into neutral. Same applies. Like if you park the car so that the wheels and the drive line are stopped and you rev the engine up to 25 RPM and the squeal comes back, you know what I'm saying? Like you can eliminate certain parts of the vehicle because wheels and brakes and drive lines and axles, those spin at at the speed that the car is going. And then your engine is a separate thing that's connected by your transmission. And so if you can isolate one of those two, it can often really help you figure out where the noises are coming from. So hopefully that is helpful.
All right. Pin comment.
All right. Pin comment. And then I don't have anything else. Old World Micmac. Any common causes to a power steering reservoir leaking from cap? Leaking from the cap.
Short.
Too much pressure. A power steering reservoir leaking from the cap. I mean, too much pressure, not really. There's no real pressure inside the reservoir. That pressure happens inside the pump. But if it's leaking from the cap of the reservoir, you potentially have it overfilled. Because it does inside the reservoir, you get a lot of like sloshing. So if it's overfilled, that sloshing is going to be hitting up against the cap. If it's a plastic cap, those things crack all the time. Plastic bottle, sorry, like the rim of it will crack. The old ones were metal, not as much a deal. Or if you have something real fishy going on in your power steering system and you are getting blow by, where you're actually getting too much pressure escaping into the reservoir, that could be, some kind of seal going on with your power steering pump. But I would say that's less likely. Also, that stuff travels. So when you have a power steering fluid leak, it can look like it's coming and dripping from one place, but it's actually coming from another place and it's traveling down the hose or whatever. So really get that thing clean with brake clean or something. And it may be your high pressure line. It may be where the return line actually attaches to your reservoir. And those guys are very common leak points when the hoses go bad. So just make sure that's not where it's coming from.
Okay, one more. Pinned.
All right, another comment from Tonga Sakala. Sorry, I'm butchering your name. I got a Nissan March K12. Drives well, but the revving sound goes up as well as loses power while driving. If I'm reading this correct, it sounds like you're driving along and then all of a sudden it revs up and loses power. Sounds very much like a clutch issue. I don't know if that is a manual transmission, which would be like a straight up clutch, or if it's an automatic transmission, that sounds like a transmission issue where your engine gets disconnected temporarily from your wheels, and so it doesn't have as much load. So then the RPM shoots up, but you don't have as much drive to your wheels. That would be my initial thought. Cool. Hopefully you would have some check engine lights somewhere along the line that would give you some clues that something's going on. If not, you might want to check that transmission fluid, see what it looks like.
Okay, one more, and then you can go to your last. One more pinned.
Karis Kodash. Should I change my transmission fluid in a 2017 Highlander or leave it alone?
There's like a lot of transmission issues.
It has 92,000 miles. Yeah, what's got going on with your transmissions? Should I change the transmission fluid? Well, that depends on many things. When was the last time the transmission fluid was done? Is this a new car to you? If you've watched my video on how to make a car last 300,000 miles, if you get a car and you don't know the history of it, like the first thing I do is change transmission fluid, because most people don't think about it and they don't do it, or they're waiting for 150,000 miles or a lifetime or whatever the manufacturers are telling them. And you run into all these transmission problems. So my general answer is yes, just do it. If you're just dropping the fluid in the pan, many times it's simpler than doing an oil change. So it costs next to nothing to get some fluid, drop what's in the pan, and see what the color is. If it's black and inky and stinky and gross, then do 3 transmission fluid changes. Because 92,000 miles is a lot if it's never been done before. But if it's been done in the last 15, 20,000 miles, then maybe it's not as pressing, but I would still do it every 4 or 5 oil changes.
Can they tell by looking at did you already say that? By looking at the color of the fluid, or is it better?
Yeah, generally transmission fluid is a dark red, And if you are dropping your transmission fluid out of the pan and it's black or gray or anything besides that red color, you know that it's pretty dirty and really wants to be changed.
You said you got one more.
Oh, yes. As always, YouTube comments keeping me honest. Really appreciate you guys. We just put out a short a couple days ago, yesterday, where I showed that you can use automatic transmission fluid in your power steering system if you need to top it up and you don't have any power steering fluid. The reason for that is because if you let a power steering fluid system go dry and you hear that whining noise every time you hear the wheel, it's really hard on a power steering fluid, power steering pump. So you don't want to let it get to that point. And if you don't have any power steering fluid, but you happen to have some automatic transmission fluid, you can throw it in. But Complexity 5545 reminds us that some idiot somewhere is going to put ATF in there and leave it in there long term and destroy the steering pump and gearbox and everything. So thank you, Complexity, for the reminder. Yes, if you do use automatic transmission fluid in your power steering, it is meant to be temporary. You do want to do a flush with proper power steering fluid.
All right.
Otherwise, you may ruin everything.
This one's an oil one from Danyan.
Danyan, what's your opinion on every 6-month oil change? Well, what makes you think I have an opinion on that? It depends on your mileage, right? How far are you driving every 6 months? I just had a lady contact me personally, and she was like, yeah, I need to do oil change every 6 months or 4 months, I think she said. And I was like, how much are you driving? But in my opinion, you should be doing oil changes every 5,000 to 7,000 miles. It doesn't really matter the oil that you use, but I think that's a really safe and healthy mileage count to do your oil changes at. But if you're only driving 800 miles in 6 months, then no, I don't think you need to. Now, I would do more than one per year, at least one a year. Because as I talked about in a recent oil mistakes video that we made, you can get condensation in an engine that doesn't drive very far and never really gets up to high operating temperatures. So you can't just go purely by mileage. So you are right to ask the question, how long? And generally my rule of thumb is I want to do at least 1 or 2 a year. And then after that, it's a distinction of how many miles you're driving. Hopefully that answers your question. Right, Andrew?
Yeah, we got one more about a code.
Breads, how serious is a P1550 code? Well, thanks, Andrew. The P1550.
You don't have all the codes memorized, Josh?
I don't have the codes memorized. I do not. And then we got a little AI answer. Back to our AI. It indicates a problem with the battery current sensor circuit's range or performance, meaning the sensor responsible for monitoring current flow in and out of the vehicle's battery is detecting a voltage outside the expected range. So I just Googled that, or Andrew Googled it for me. But essentially, it has something to do with your battery voltage. Now, your battery doesn't have a sensor on it. It's going to be your computer detecting voltage that's going into your battery it's being fed by the alternator. So probably what that code has to do with is your computer detecting that your alternator is doing something funky or not working at all. And usually that range is going to be something like, 11.5 volts to 14.5 volts, 15 volts. If it gets outside of that range, it's going to throw a code, and you got to go check your terminals, check your wires, look at how old your battery is, get your voltmeter out and test your alternator, make sure that it's pumping out enough voltage. So is it serious? Yes, could be, because if you run on a dying alternator, you're not only going to probably run into starting problems, but you're going to potentially kill your battery as well.
Okay, we've been going for a bit. We should probably cut it, but yeah, this is our first time trying it. So if you
Yeah.
like this,
Andrew says,
let us know.
Andrew says no more for you guys. But thank you guys for joining us for our first ever live. And thanks for all the comments and questions. This was awesome. And we will do more of these in the future. So make sure you keep the comments coming. We do keep track of comments that you guys leave on our videos. And I do keep track of them for questions that I think are going to help other people as well.
And we will try and schedule these so you can see them coming.
Apparently you can schedule these lives, and so we're going to get into that in the future, so you have a little bit of more warning. But thanks to all of you who are super spontaneous and jumped right in. So for now, thanks for joining us, Budget Mechanic, and we'll see you on the next one. All right.